You've shamed us, leave now, Dad yelled at 17-year-old me. 12 years later, they saw my tech conference keynote. We want our grandchild. I held my Harvard-bound daughter's hand and said, the grandchild you threw away with her mother? She doesn't know you exist. I'd like to keep it that way. My daughter Emma squeezed my hand supportively, this brilliant 18-year-old who'd grown up believing her grandparents died before she was born. The truth was uglier but unnecessary. Some people die to you through their choices, not their deaths. Please, Isabella, my mother begged, looking between Emma and me like she was seeing ghosts. We made a mistake. We were just trying to protect our reputation. Your reputation? I laughed. You threw your pregnant teenage daughter on the street to protect your reputation. How'd that work out? They stood in the conference center lobby, these strangers who shared my DNA, surrounded by tech innovators and venture capitalists who knew me as the founder of Secure Start, the billion-dollar cybersecurity firm I'd built while they'd been pretending I never existed. 5 minutes, my father said, the same commanding tone that had once terrified me. We deserve 5 minutes. You deserve nothing. But I'll give you 2 minutes. Emma, wait in the speaker's lounge. You sure, Mom? She studied them with eyes that matched mine, sharp, assessing, unimpressed. I'm sure. Order us those overpriced coffees. I'll be right there. She left, my Harvard-bound baby, walking with the confidence of someone who'd never been told she was ashamed to her family. She's beautiful, my mother whispered. She's brilliant, I corrected. Valedictorian. Early admission to Harvard. Computer science, like her mother. Though unlike her mother, she won't have to hide in library bathrooms to study. 12 years ago, I was 17 and terrified, staring at a pregnancy test in my high school bathroom. 2 pink lines that would end life as I knew it. Ryan had been my first everything. First love, first heartbreak, first lesson in how quickly boys could disappear when consequences arrived. Get rid of it, he'd said. My parents will kill me if they find out. I can't, I'd whispered. Then you're on your own. And I was. I'd hidden it for 4 months, wearing baggy clothes, avoiding family dinners, praying for a miracle. But miracles don't come for scared teenagers in conservative households. Isabella, my mother had screamed when she'd found the prenatal vitamins. What is this? I can explain. You're pregnant. My father's voice had been deadly quiet. You're 17 and pregnant? I'm sorry. Sorry. He'd laugh bitterly. Do you know what this means? What people will say. A teenage pregnancy in the Rodriguez family. I made a mistake. You are a mistake, he'd roared. How could you do this to us? To our family name. What about me? I'd sobbed. What about what happens to me? You should have thought of that before spreading your legs like a whore. The word had hit like a physical blow. My mother had said nothing, just stood there clutching her pearls like they could protect her from the scandal of a pregnant daughter. You'll get rid of it, Dad had declared. Tomorrow. I'll arrange everything. No. Excuse me? No. I won't. I can't. Then you'll leave. Tonight. If you're adult enough to get pregnant, you're adult enough to deal with the consequences. Where will I go? That's not our problem anymore. I'd packed while they watched, stone-faced and silent. A duffel bag of clothes, my laptop, the $200 I'd saved from tutoring. My younger brother Miguel had tried to slip me more money, but Dad had stopped him. She made her choice, he'd said. Don't enable her. But she's pregnant. She's nothing to us now. Those words had followed me out the door and into the cold Phoenix night. Nothing to us now. The homeless shelter had been full. So had the second one. I'd spent that first night in a 24-hour McDonald's, my hand on my belly, whispering promises to the baby who'd cost me everything. I'll figure it out, I'd told her. We'll be okay. It was a lie that I needed to make true. A teacher, Mrs. Brennan, had noticed me falling asleep in AP Computer Science. When she'd kept me after class, I'd broken down and told her everything. There's a program, she'd said quietly, for pregnant teens. Housing, support, help finishing school. Let me make some calls. The Nueva Vida house became my home for the next year. 7 other teenage mothers, all of us navigating shame and stretch marks, homework and heartburn. They helped me apply for WIC, Medicaid, food stamps. All the programs my parents would have been mortified to know I needed. I graduated high school at 8 months pregnant, waddling across the stage to collect my diploma while my parents' empty seats screamed louder than any cheers. Emma arrived 2 weeks later, perfect and terrifying in mine. How do I do this? I'd asked the nurse, holding this tiny human who depended entirely on me. One day at a time, Mama. Just like everything else. Community college during the day, waitressing at night, Emma in subsidized daycare, or sleeping in her carrier beside me while I studied. I learned to code on library computers while she napped, built websites for cash while she played beside me, dreamed of more while she dreamed beside me. You can't live like this, a social worker had said during a home visit to our studio apartment. A baby needs stability. She has stability. She has me. But wouldn't she be better off? No. I'd cut her off. She wouldn't be better off without me. We're a team. We'll make it work. And we did. Slowly, painfully, magnificently. A professor noticed my coding skills and recommended me for an internship. Low pay, but remote work meant I could be with Emma. That led to freelance projects, then a full-time position, then the realization that companies desperately needed better cybersecurity. I started Secure Start in our living room while Emma did kindergarten homework beside me. "What's that, Mommy?" she'd ask, pointing at the code. "That's how we protect people's information, baby. Keep the bad guys out. Like superheroes. Exactly like superheroes." By the time she was 10, we'd moved from food stamps to Fortune 500. The company grew exponentially as cyber threats evolved. I hired other single mothers, remembering how impossible it had been to find flexible work. Created on-site childcare, remembering the nightmare of affording it. "Why do you help so much?" a reporter had asked during a profile piece. "Because someone helped me once. And because no one should have to choose between being a mother and being successful." Emma had thrived in our unconventional life. Brilliant, kind, confident. Everything I'd been before my parents' shame had tried to break me. She'd grown up in boardrooms and server rooms, equally comfortable discussing algorithms and anime. "Mom, you're trending," she'd said last month, showing me her phone. The tech conference keynote had gone viral. Single teen mom builds billion-dollar cybersecurity empire. "Great," I'd groaned. "There goes our privacy." I hadn't considered that my parents might see it. Might realize the shameful daughter they'd thrown away had become everything they'd never imagined possible. "We tried to find you," my mother said now, bringing me back to the present. "After a few years, when the anger faded. Did you? How hard? Did you hire investigators? Check homeless shelters? Hospital birth records? Or did you do a half-hearted Google search and call it good?" Silence. "We heard you'd had the baby," my father said. "A girl. Her name is Emma. Emma Grace. Not that you bothered to know. We want to know now. We want to be part of her life." "Why? Because she's Harvard-bound? Because her mother's successful? Because suddenly we're not an embarrassment? Because she's family," my mother pleaded. "Family?" I stepped closer. "Family doesn't throw pregnant teenagers on the street. Family doesn't choose reputation over their child's safety. Family doesn't pretend you died rather than admit you exist." "What did you tell her about us?" "The truth. That her grandparents weren't part of our lives. She never asked for more. She had enough love without you." "That's cruel." "Cruel? You want to know cruel? Cruel is giving birth alone at 17 because your parents cared more about what people thought than their daughter's life. Cruel is choosing between formula and rent. Cruel is watching other kids have grandparents while explaining why we don't. We've changed. Have you? Or have I changed from an embarrassment to an asset?" My phone buzzed. Emma texting. "You okay? Coffee's getting cold." "I have to go," I said. "My daughter's waiting. Can we at least meet her properly?" Mom begged. "Get to know her? You had 18 years to know her. You chose shame instead. Isabella, you know what the ironic part is? You threw me out to protect your reputation. But everyone knows now. All your friends, your colleagues, your church, they all know the Rodriguez family throughout their pregnant teenage daughter. Meanwhile, I became the success story you couldn't have imagined. Emma became the granddaughter you didn't deserve. Your reputation is ruined, and we're thriving. Funny how that worked out." I turned to leave, then stopped. "Oh, and Dad? Remember when you called me a whore?" Emma's never been touched by shame like that. She knows she was loved from the moment she existed. That's the difference between your parenting and mine. "Please," my mother called after me. "Just one chance. Let us make it right." You can't make it right. You can only make it present. And Emma doesn't need grandparents who only want her now that she's impressive. She needed them when she was crying at 3 a.m., and I didn't know if I could make it another day. Where were you then? I found Emma in the speaker's lounge. 2 coffees waiting, already deep in conversation with a venture capitalist about quantum computing applications in cybersecurity. "Everything okay?" she asked, studying my face. "Everything's perfect, baby. Ready to head home." "Actually," the VC interrupted, "I was just telling Emma about our summer internship program. With her credentials. She'll be at Harvard," I said proudly. "We have a Boston office," he persisted, handing Emma his card. "Think about it." As we left, Emma linked her arm through mine. "Those were them, weren't they? Your parents." I stopped walking. "How did you?" "Mom, I'm not stupid. Dead grandparents don't show up at tech conferences. Plus, you had that look. The one you get when you're protecting me from something." "I'm sorry I lied." "You didn't lie. You edited. There's a difference." She smiled. "Plus, I Googled the Rodriguez family of Phoenix years ago. Found their church newsletter. The prayer requests for their wayward daughter were illuminating." "Why didn't you say anything?" "Because they didn't matter. You mattered. You chose me when they didn't. Why would I need people who threw us away?" "Emma." "Mom, I grew up watching you build an empire while raising me alone. I watched you hire single mothers and create the support systems you never had. I watched you turn rejection into rocket fuel. Why would I want grandparents who couldn't see how amazing you were?" I hugged her right there in the conference center, my brilliant daughter who'd understood more than I'd ever realized. "So, Harvard in the fall," I said, pulling back. "You ready? Are you ready? Empty nest and all that. I'll manage. Maybe I'll finally accept one of those acquisition offers. Retire at 39, travel the world." "Mom, you'd be bored in a week." She was right. I'd probably start another company, another mission to help women who'd been told they couldn't. As we walked to the car, Emma asked, "Do you think they'll try again?" "Your parents?" "Probably. They saw what they missed out on." "Their loss," she said simply. "Though I do have great genetics. I mean, teen mom to tech mogul? That's some strong DNA. You get your humor from me too, apparently. And my stubbornness. And my brilliance. And my ability to thrive despite people's low expectations. That's all you, baby. I just gave you the space to be amazing." "No, Mom. You gave me the example." That night, I found an email from my parents. A long apology, photos of the grandchildren they'd had since, Miguel's kids, raised with the love and support Emma never got. Delete. Emma started Harvard that fall, brilliant and unashamed, carrying neither my teenage pregnancy stigma nor their rejection. She called every day, excited about classes and opportunities, and the future stretching bright before her. "Mom, you know what I realized?" she said during one call. "They kicked you out for getting pregnant with me. But I'm the best thing that ever happened to you, right? The absolute best. So really, they kicked out their own blessing. Their loss, our gain. Our gain indeed. A billion-dollar company, a Harvard-bound daughter, and a life built on proving that shame only has the power you give it. They'd kicked me out for getting pregnant. 12 years later, they wanted to meet their precious grandchild. The same one they'd called a mistake, a shame, a reputation killer. But Emma wasn't theirs to claim. She was mine to protect. And I'd learned long ago that protecting her meant keeping away people who only saw value after the struggle was over. They wanted to meet their granddaughter now that she was heading to Harvard. Where were they when she was heading to daycare? That question hung in the air, unanswered and unanswerable, as Emma and I built our future on the ashes of their rejection. Some grandparents earn their titles through love and presence. Others lose them through shame and absence. The Rodriguez family had chosen shame. Emma and I had chosen each other. And that choice had made all the difference.